It's good.
I
That's
love
good.
that.
Okay, we got this email as
go.
well too. I wanted to read. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, hit.
Go ahead.
No. You're in charge of the podcast.
Well, Justin, who begrudgingly, Justin, who sent along the Arkansas schedule about the Hayward meet that set off Gordon on that rant, he followed up. He said, "Thanks for the rant. As a former media member, an issue I have is the very short heads up we get about track event. It affects media too. Not everyone can drop what they're doing and run out to cover a big time event. Most already have work plans for the weekend, 2 weeks out, a month out. So those original plans happen and the track events get less coverage by mass media, maybe a simple tweet or a last second mention in the sports block of the local news at best." That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And it's funny.
Listen, no one wants to hear
that
us complain.
After that rant, Oregon announced their schedule after the rant.
Do you think it was related?
Right? I think it was. No, it wasn't. Anyway, what were you saying? I interrupted you. I'm being rude.
No, I'm saying if when we eventually go to the podcast being live, you can just attribute anything you say in the podcast to what happens in reality. Of like, hey, I said that at 9:15 a.m. and by 9:18 there was a tweet. Must have been me. They listen to the show. Just your opinion of yourself can get bigger and bigger. I was just going to mention the that no one really wants to hear the media complain. So like we're not, and you weren't complaining from a media perspective. You were just talking about it from a general interest fan perspective. Say you live in a city nearby and want to check out the meet if possible, or you want to follow the team or just know what's going on. It's not that far away. It's not as if we're talking about a meet in the middle of August or something. This is a meet that's coming up in a couple weeks. And some schools do a better job of it than others. And obviously COVID has presented some challenges, but this is not, you're right. It's not just related to one school or one even level, because this happens at the pro level. This happens in college, everything.
Yep.
Everywhere. So there we go.
I mean, and if you think about it, I know that schedule thing, actually, people in the World Athletics recognize that. I mean, they talk about when they created this like continental tour stuff, like silver, bronze, and gold. They wanted to do that because they recognize, hey, our sport shouldn't survive off of pop-up meets. It should be survive off of like established. These are World Athletics level track and field meets. And so obviously you had the Diamond League, but Diamond League wasn't enough because Diamond League, like, all right, yeah, you have that, but that's like, how many people are Diamond League eligible, right? You need to have the so that's the whole point of the Continental Tour. Speaking of the Continental Tour, it's all live and flow. So all the gold meets live and flow in Australia, Canada, and the US. Get ready for that. It's going to be a good time. That starts in like what, May? Some Continental Tour action. We need to come up with a Continental Tour segment. Like some like, should we have like, we could like have like a continental breakfast and like be talk very like very like that Jordan and Peele sketch. That'd be fun.
Key and Peele.
Jordan and Peele. Key and Peele. Yeah.
Just go buy the worst Danishes and the most watered down orange juice you can find, and we make picks on who's going to win while eating the bad Danishes and the watered down orange juice. I'm for it. Yeah. And then like the cream cheese that comes in the little singular units that you never see anywhere other than at a hotel with the continental breakfast. Yeah, let's do it. It is frustrating. The other part that's frustrating, and some athletes recognize this because they'll say, I'm going to tell you where I'm competing, as if it's this big initiative, like this huge undertaking. But there's so many athletes out there who are reluctant to tell you their race schedule. And maybe a lot of it's just because financial reasons, like they haven't locked in a race because this meet director hasn't figured this out or the agent hasn't figured that out. But the net result is never knowing where an athlete competes, even the most high profile, down to the just last person who gets into these Diamond League races or even Continental Tour type races. It's really horrible to follow if you never know who's running where, and athletes are never saying it. Like they'll say race week and they'll put a thing on Instagram. You're like, what race? And you never post about this. You didn't just figure out on Monday that you're racing on Saturday. That didn't
Yeah.
happen. There's too much planning, especially at those higher levels. Like, you didn't just stumble into it. Oh, I was going through the internet and I saw that there was this community 5K and I just decided to sign up. No, like there was thought that went into that, but I think people, they're just hesitant to do it. I don't know if it's because they don't want to commit to things or if they don't want to be held account if they drop out later. But the net result is pretty pretty tough for fans to follow, like where people are competing and when they should be. Like Justin said, when should you plan on watching? When should you try to clear your calendar? Oh, hey, this meet's going to be good because my favorite athlete's competing. None of that is considered.
Yeah. I mean, not to. I could go on another rant about something else, but I'll save that for another time, another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, the biggest barrier. People think the barrier is, dare I say it, a paywall, but the biggest barrier is structure. That's honestly the biggest. Like, when the basketball games are, that Zion Williamson is going to play this person. When they're hurt, how long they're going to be hurt for. Like, you're told 4 to 6 weeks, okay, and all this stuff. There's just so much structure, and the reason why there's structure is because the same meet director is in charge of every basketball game. The same meet director is in charge of every football game. It's a different meet director all over the world, different languages, different. It's just not. And it's just different meet director for every
shoe companies.
Different
There's
age.
so many people
shoe
involved.
Companies. Yeah, and none of them are all on the same mindset of like the same goal. All their goals are like their individual goal of their athlete or their meet or this, that, the other thing. And like to be honest, the only way I think the sport would get closer to being easier to like, I think the best the sport could ever get, which this will never happen, would be literally World Athletics being the meet director of every major track meet, and it all being connected, it all being like, if you want to be in this meet, you got to do this many races. Like, it just being super like hands-on, the way the NBA is super hands-on on all their basketball games. But you're not going to get that because that's a huge financial commitment that probably doesn't have a return on investment and all that stuff. They kind of, World Athletics likes just being the governing body, and this meet director is willing to spend $20,000 of its own money to try to put on a meet, and not, oh yeah, here's a waiver or whatever, here's a voucher of $500 here and there, whatever. But that's the main problem. It's all segmented, and it's segmented by different people, different teams, agents, athletes, all this stuff. So that's the main problem. But that's also track and field. Track and field isn't designed the way a regular season of a major sport is. So